Good. Okay, so welcome to this is what we're on now, episode 10. Episode 10 of I'm just going to meet you out there, Venice, because you're a little bit. Okay, so episode 10 of Tabletop Talks, and I say come to you every week, Monday, Wednesday, Friday, 8 a.m. Eastern, and what I want to talk to you today about is, I mean, I've got a lot of books in my bookshelf, and this particular book I'm going to just refer to today. I don't know if you ever heard of Napoleon Hill. Napoleon Hill. Let me just, Venice, I've just muted you out because there's a little bit of feedback coming from you. Okay, so yeah, I'll just mute you out again because there's like loads of feedback. All right, so that's fine. Okay, so Napoleon Hill. Okay, what I like about Napoleon Hill was that he was really interested about how people became rich, how people became successful. And his first book, Think and Grow Rich, which a lot of people know about, was written in the 1930s. And if you think about what life was like in the 1930s, very different to the way it is now. But what he did, he went around and interviewed lots of successful people, millionaires and billionaires at the time, and there weren't many of them. And he found the different traits of what made somebody successful. And it became the book known as Think and Grow Rich. And one of the great things about this book is that the principles that he wrote about are exactly the same as they are today. And thinking about, back in the day, 1930s, there was no phones, hardly. Certainly, Napoleon Hill didn't have a Facebook page or a Facebook group, and things were different, but the principles are always the same. And this is because even though technology changes and even though things progress, we're still human beings. And the things that make us tick and make us work are still the same now as they've always been. So in this book, this is a lot of quotations from Napoleon Hill's first book, and this is called Positive Action Plan. And one of the things that you'll get from these tabletop talks, I'll talk about goals, I'll talk about mindset, I'll talk about all these sorts of things. And one of the things I want to start talking about is being able to put an action plan together, a positive plan or a plan for you to move from A to B, and then from B to C, and then all the way through to Z. Okay, so let me just take a couple of these little quotes that I dug out today. And again, this book, I got this book 25 years ago. And again, even when I got this book, social media, mobile phones just weren't around. Okay, so, and really what I want to talk about is what he talks about is a winning attitude. Because remember that attitude and mindset are going to take you from where you are now to where you want to be. And it's the difference that makes all the difference. So the first quote I looked at, and this book essentially is a book of quotes that he'll make a statement, he'll write about it, and then move on to the next one. So it's really good. Let's say I would recommend getting this, and I would definitely recommend getting Think and Grow Rich. It's an all-time classic. So in what he talks about a winning attitude, he says, okay, and I've taken 3 different quotes here, and we'll talk about those. So the individual with a negative mental attitude attracts trouble as a magnet attracts steel filings. What a great little quote there. Very succinct. And it's true. People that go around with a negative attitude kind of attract negative emotions and negative situations. And a lot of people who look at, they say, well, that's the law of attraction. Okay. Then yeah, I suppose it is, because what we think about comes about. And we've got to be really careful about the power we've got in this brain, because a lot of people don't really understand how powerful it is and actually what we're really capable of. And if you think about that in a negative way, then we're going to attract negative emotions, negative feelings, negative thoughts, and we're going to get negative results. And that's just the way it works. On the spin side of that, if we think positive thoughts, then we're going to attract more positive thoughts. But thinking positive doesn't work, let me tell you. It's a bit like when you go to an event and you get you get motivated by somebody who's speaking and you think it's great, and you think it's fantastic, you're really positive, you're coming out of the car park, you're going back to your car and you're thinking of all the things that you're going to be doing over the next week to push your business to the next level. And you get in the car and you realize it's got a flat tire and you go, yeah. And that's it. The positive thinking lasted about 10 minutes. So don't just think about being positive, just go out and back it up and back it up with positive actions and beliefs and everything else. And, positive thinking by itself, and if you listen to my podcast, you'll know the story. I think it was Gary Cox, motivational speaker, and he says positive thinking is a little bit like, making a cookie, making a really nice cookie, and you put the chocolate in and you put all the nice ingredients in, and you make the cookie and you get it and it looks fantastic, and you take a bite and you go, that don't quite taste right. And I know what I did. I forgot to put the eggs in. So what you do, you go, okay, no problem. You whisk up some eggs, okay, the raw eggs in the bowl, and you dip the cookie in the raw eggs, and you're going to eat it? Not really. But positive thinking by itself is a little bit like dipping your cookie in raw eggs. Okay, it's a bit sickly. Okay, you wouldn't do it. So you've got to back it up with those other emotions and those other actions. Okay, so what else did we talk about on here? Okay, so the next one I like to look at is what Napoleon Hill says: a positive mental attitude is an irresistible force that knows no such thing as an immovable body. Okay, now this is a little bit deeper, okay, but essentially what he talks about there, he talks about the power of the mind being able to create such amazing feats of amazing actions that most people wouldn't even think possible. So if you think about some of the things that I did as a police officer, really interesting story. Well, I think it is anyway. So we went to this particular job, and the house that we went to had been broken into. Didn't know if the burglars were on the scene or if they weren't. So we broke in, and we've got our torches looking to find out if anyone's in there and hoping that somebody was. And I don't know if you've ever listened to Amityville Horror or watched the film Amityville Horror. And I think the priest was in the house, and the house shouts, "Go away!" And it's like really horrible, freaky kind of voice, and it makes all the hairs on the back of your neck stand on end. Well, I've got the torch, okay, in this house, and I heard exactly the same voice, "Get out!" And it made all the hairs on the back of my neck stand on end. And I thought, right, we're in for something here. And what happened was this little old lady trundled out, okay, into the hallway and said, "Oh, what's going on?" But at that time, her brain took over, thought we were intruders and wanted to scare us off. And by crikey, she scared us. And the same thing where, there's a car accident, and the grandmother has got the grandson who's trapped in the car, picks the car up, okay, and the son gets out. And those are the sort of things that the brain is capable of. So if you put it into context about what we're doing, we're looking at building an online business, okay? How does that compare to being able to, pick a car up or do some of the things that we see on a daily basis, some of the amazing things that we're capable of? So really, when it comes to doing what you're doing, anybody can do this. They really can. It doesn't really matter. It doesn't matter where you're at right now, or what you've been through, or what you think you're capable of doing. Anyone can do this because we've all got the brain power and the capacity to do it. Okay, so there was one last quote I want to look at, and I think I might have just lost it. Let's just have a quick look. So we talked about the steel filings. I think it was the horse. There we go. Okay, so the last one he talks about: no one could ride a horse if the horse discovered its real strength. And the same thing is true for people. Now, how poignant and succinct is that? You get a horse, half a ton of pure muscle, okay, and pretty much it can do whatever it wants, but it's controlled by its brain, because we've trained the horse to do what it's told. And if you go through the process, go through the training, and you train yourself to believe that whatever you go out to achieve is possible, then you will go out and you will achieve it. And it takes a lot of shifting. It takes a big mindset shift to change the different programs and the patterns of behavior of the past. If we've constantly been told as kids that we're no good, or if we've been told that we're no good with money, or we've been told that we're stupid, then the brain becomes to believe that, and the subconscious mind will be programmed to believe that whatever that course of action is. The thing is, you can change that, and you can change it with repetitive and diligent positive input. And that's the thing that most people don't really believe, is it takes constant effort to change your mindset. But you can, because back in the 1930s, Napoleon Hill said, this is what successful people do. This is what all the millionaires and billionaires of the 1930s were doing. And yet we still have the same repeated patterns emerging. Yes, we have more successful people, but there are still people that think they're no good. People that have been told by peers, by parents, by teachers, that actually we don't really think you're academically very good to do anything more than be whatever you want to be, a factory worker, or we think you're going to be a fish processor. We put people in boxes, and it really, we talk about thinking and acting outside the box, and this is everything. I mean, I would get this book because this is lined with so many good, lots of information, and it's just amazing that in the 20 odd years that I've been doing coaching, people still don't understand not only what they're capable of, but they don't really fully understand how the brain works for you to get what you actually want. And that can either be something that is really positive for a lot of people, or really scary for a lot of people, because a lot of people don't know what to do with that information. Okay, so let me just open the mic up. Vanessa, I've just opened up your mic up again. Okay. Obviously, I've been talking a bit too long sometimes. So have you got anything to add for that? I mean, how do you feel about sort of what I've said in terms of that mindset?
Totally. You've touched on a few points, and yes, the mindset is so like a key role in our lives.
Mm,
I feel like just having that positive thinking, and the mind is such a powerful thing. And I was just reading a story or on the news about I think she's an actress, Kate Spade. She committed suicide.
oh,
And
right, don't know. Okay.
yeah, you would think that a person have everything in the world, and but it's just that thought process, you
Yeah.
know, God rest her soul, whatever was going
Mm,
through her head, you
mm,
know, having that thought and whatever, not able to control your mind or control your thinking, can
mm.
lead to such a road of disaster, or
Yeah.
your life. And
Yeah.
I like, yes, having a positive mindset to know, and I like the example with the flat tire. Like, you wake up, because sometimes listening to those podcasts, I even tell my kids, like, at least every morning you give me 5 things that you're grateful for, and I'll approve it. I'll go
Yeah.
through it and say, yes, excellent, just to encourage them. And I say it to myself, but then you go through the motions of the day, and something happens, and you just like, oh my goodness, and you feel as if your whole day just got messed up. And you kind of have to get back to that early morning rise. Okay, I know this is going to work. This is just a setback for a little bit, but it's I'm going to keep pressing.
Mm,
And
mm,
I like that people of different kinds of nature that are taking on this business, and they're succeeding. So it doesn't
mm,
matter what which background or where you're coming from, or however you've been taught in school, or how your parents grew you up, grew you up, whatever. But you have to decide within yourself that this is where you want to go. This is, you have to look at that light at the end of the tunnel, right? And kind of press towards it, despite any obstacles that there are.
Absolutely. And, the thing is, as individuals, is that we are individuals and we all deal with things in a different way.
Yes.
But essentially the way the brain works is that we all have the same access to the same good stuff, and we all have if we can, talking about your sort of 5 things that you gracious gratitude for, it is great because it starts your day off in a good way, in the right way, rather than sort of thinking, well, I had a rubbish night's sleep and the car, is rubbish and this is rubbish and I've got another bill and all that sort of thing. So, it's just starting the day in the right way, is taking small steps. And the thing is with life is that life often gets in the way. We have a plan and there are always things that get in the way, but we can either allow them to get in the way, or we can concentrate on what we really want and just deal with this and then move on to the target that, moving forward. And then that's really where you want to be. And
yes, I've actually read Think and Grow Rich. I've read a couple. Yeah, I've read Napoleon's book before. A couple of the books that you've mentioned, I've actually read back in the days.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think with me, I feel like I'm a go-getter, but at the same time, and I think it was probably yours. I'm not sure, but overload of information. I think that's where I am at, where I'm kind of trying to, okay. I think it was someone I was listening to, and they said you just have to decide one thing that you want to focus on and keep at it. Oh, it was actually, and it said overload of information. So I was learning this, and I'm learning that, and I'm learning this, and I feel like, okay, I can't focus on one thing. Yeah. And I think, and I just got frustrated, and I just didn't take action to certain things. I was like, okay, I feel like I just need to stop. Really look at the big picture of everything. What do you really want to do? And that's what you need to focus on and put your into that.
That's it. And a lot of marketers will say the same sort of thing, just concentrate on the morning, Mark, by the way. Sorry, I'm not ignoring you. We're just engrossed in conversation. So a lot of marketers will say, just concentrate on the things that are going to benefit you. Okay. So, when I first started in business, or certainly online business, I was dealing with all sorts of stuff that just didn't make sense. Trying to make websites and trying to move, a little line from here to there and trying to find out how to do it and all this sort of nonsense, that you just don't need to do. But the thing is, as humans, sometimes we're so keen to learn, we just try and learn everything, and if there's some information that we can learn and we think, okay, well, maybe that can benefit us, then we just keep learning. And really what you want to do is just learn the foundations, go through the steps, learn the foundations of what you need to know, and then implement what you've already learned. And that in terms of an action plan, okay, we've been looking at this book, the action plan can be, okay, what I'm going to do, I'm going to learn something, and then I'm going to implement it into my business before I do anything else. And then I understand how it all works, and then learn something else, and then implement that. So it's really important to implement as well as learn, because there are a lot of people constantly learning, and they learn this, and they learn how to do a sales funnel, and they'll go and learn to do something else and learn, and then they never actually make any money because they're always learning.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. So one of the things that Matt says is that, good enough is good enough. And what he means by that is that if you get the bare essentials of what you need to do, go and do it and launch it and get it out there. And if it's rubbish, at least you've got it out there. And if say, for instance, because one of the things I do is video, and I teach a lot of other people to make really good videos. And people say, well, my video looks really bad. Okay, why does it look bad? And a lot of it is all perception about, they think it's bad, okay? But if it is bad, and someone watches it, and they watch your second video, and you video in 3 months and 6 months, and they see it getting better in that progress, then you're going to develop a brand that people like, because people like you for you, So So yeah, you're right. God, I do go on a bit sometimes, don't I? Good. Okay, but yeah, I mean, just going back to, I mean, we've done about 20 minutes. So, I mean, any questions that you want to ask, Venice, about anything that we've sort of discussed today?
I don't think I have any questions right
No.
now.
Okay. Good. Hi, Mark. Okay.
Good morning. Yes, hello, John. I guess
Hi.
it's not morning where you are. Where are you, John? Where do you live?
Based in the UK, east coast of the UK. So it's 20 past 1 in the afternoon. So not too much difference
I got
between
you.
us.
We're 7:19 here.
Nice early rise. Excuse me. Yeah, so we've just been talking about Napoleon Hill. We've taken a couple of quotes out of his book, talking about mindset and moving forward and that sort of thing. So we are recording the session, so you'll be able to see a copy of this afterwards in the group. But no, I mean, for people watching this, people watching the recording, you know, I always say that mindset is the number one thing that is going to take you from where you are to where you're going to be. By the same token, having the wrong mindset is also going to take you from where you are and keep you where you are. Okay, no matter what you do, you're always going to have those repetitive cycles. So take the information, listen to these tabletop talks. You know, the information is really powerful information, and mixed in with the power up calls, you know, my podcast and all the books you've got access to. Make the most of it, because it will make all the difference. I guarantee that. Okay, so good. Well, thanks for joining us. And we're going to be doing another tabletop talk on Friday, and I'll be putting this recording into the group. So anyone got any questions about it, just ask me a question in the group, and we'll get something going. And what I'm going to be doing as well is I'm going to be putting a website together where all the talks are in there, and you're going to have access to a lot more information. So it'll be a dedicated website, so that'll be really good to come as well. So look forward to getting that together. So okay, all right, Venice. Okay, Mark, good to see you again.
Good to see you. Thank you for your time, John.
Okay,
Right.
bye.
Take care. Bye for now. Bye.
Thank you for your time.